I never planned it, but sometimes the things that are unplanned are the best surprises. The real key here is I allowed it. I allowed myself to write. I allowed myself to cry. I allowed myself to process and prepare. And then I allowed myself to be open to what the universe was pointing me towards, which was to actually make this a book. Welcome back, everybody, to Flipping the Lid. We're going to do something a little different today. This is going to be my first ever completely solo episode. And partially because we had some things get rescheduled, and partially because I'm going to start mixing some things up on this show where and how I can. Recently, I had an amazing project that came to fruition, completely out of the blue, completely unexpected, but it happened so smoothly and the outcome was so positive that many people thought it's something I'd been working on for months. And so today I'm here to bring you in behind the scenes into the book that just got published, my first book that just got published. It went from idea to published on Amazon within 13 days. And it's not only something that's possible, it's something that you could replicate if you want to as well. And this will become not just for what it became or began with, which was to process and prepare, but this is also now something that will become a legacy piece and really fits within our world. So we're going to jump right in, and I'm going to give you the backdrop, read you the story, and that is the purpose of today. So from idea to publication in 13 days, here we go. So this is the book. You can see it on my shelf behind me. You can see the one that I'm holding. It is The Cat Who Watched the Wind. Now, I'll give you just a little bit of backdrop on what created this idea, where it came from, and then I'll break down the process. I'm also going to read the book for you today. So in the next probably 15 to 20 minutes, you're going to get a lot of information packed in, and there will be other resources if you have follow-up questions. But why did I write this book? Well, we have this cat. His name is Fury. He was a rescue, and I am not a cat person. Now, for me to be married to my wife, cats were non-negotiable. It was something I was going to live with. I was going to learn to love and understand because I love my wife more than I didn't like cats 19 years ago. Now, cats have definitely grown on me, though I still prefer myself or view myself more as a dog person. That said, this cat is, I kind of joke around, like the OG cool cat. He just is truly cool. He never gets scattered, never gets startled. He's confident. He is kind. He has like an overlooking guardian type energy about him. Look, I'm the clear alpha in the house, and it's obvious with our 6 animals, with our kids, that I am the alpha. However, he likes to think he's the second alpha. And minus me, he thinks that everybody else he is overviewing, that he's responsible for, that he's the one that has to look after. And he's got a really special relationship with my daughter, has since forever. And that's going to be documented in the book, and you'll see what I mean. But he's always been kind of a protector and a guardian for her, and really has a healthy level of respect for me and everyone in the house. He's got a special relationship with everyone. He approaches people, and I'll just jump right in. Point is, I love this guy. He's awesome. He's truly one of the coolest cats I've ever met in my life, and he's been sick. He was sick on and off for a couple of months. He has some underlying health issues that are autoimmune related, and we've known about this since we got him. But he started getting these different infections in his face and his nose and his eyes, and we couldn't figure it out. We were doing everything we can to treat it. We thought it was allergies. It was not. Anyway, we go to New York this year for 11 days. And when we got back, he had lost 6 pounds in 11 days. He was frail. He was weak. His hair was just like dry and crusty. He clearly did not feel good. We responded pretty quickly and got him into the vet. We did not know what was going to happen. And frankly, the vet could not surface what was going on. So we threw steroids and antibiotics and a few other things at him. And he seemed to rebound a little bit, but it was not a full recovery. And I was convinced that we were losing him. In fact, our whole family was. I was absolutely positive that my wife and I were going to have to put him to sleep, decide whether or not we wanted our 10 and 11-year-old to be involved in that process. You know, we were even talking about where we were going to bury him in the backyard. It was that close. This wasn't a reaction. This wasn't an overreaction. This was just purely what we believed was happening. I mean, a cat losing 6 pounds in 11 days, that's dramatic. It's drastic. And we didn't know if he was going to recover because he wasn't quite eating. Now, all this said, I was struggling. I was struggling with the idea of losing this cat. Any one of you who've ever had an animal know the special relationships they have, the space they take up in your heart and your home. And they are truly just little guardians and gifts. They're our furry friends that just ground us. Now, not everybody here is an animal person, but we're huge animal people. We have 4 dogs, 2 cats. We foster 12 to 15 animals a year. On top of that, we are big believers in animals and the role they can play within households and families. And I was sad. I was very sad. And I was trying to find a way to process. So for me, when I process, it's usually something that's done via writing, or vocal. I'll be communicating with one of my coaches or my wife or one of my counselors that I've worked with in the past. We all need people to talk to. We all need people to ground us. But sometimes for me, just the words coming out on the page are all I need. So it wasn't long after this that I sat down and I just started writing late at night. I was struggling. It was hurting a little bit, and I could let that stick and just swirl in it, or I could move the energy and put some pen to paper. So I did that. And over the course of an evening, I wrote a bunch of things about this cat. Before you know it, it turned into, for lack of a better term, a book, a children's book that had almost chapters structured in it. And I cried multiple times while writing it that night. Now, I highlight that and I bring that up in this conversation because anybody who knows me or anyone who's watched this show for any period of time knows that I learned to shut off tears years ago. In fact, for about a decade, I've been learning to try to reaccess them. And I've had many, many moments of progress and allowing my emotions to just flow through. But inevitably, because I learned to shut them off, there are also times where I feel this deep emotion and the release of crying is so powerful. It's almost like I wish I could cry, but tears just don't materialize. In this case, they just flowed. I mean, I was bawling while I was writing this and I was in bed. My wife was sleeping next to me. It was up late. I'm writing and I'm crying my eyes out. The next morning I get up and I could still feel the emotion. And I read the book or the version of the book at that point to my wife. Same thing. Couldn't even get through it without crying. Neither could she. Now that morning, because I don't believe in coincidence, this was the morning after I wrote it. It was on a Friday morning. And it would have been, I guess, August 8th. So almost a month ago. And on the 8th, one of the people on my live show on Friday morning was a really, really well-known author. He's got 46 best-selling books in the paranormal category. Awesome guy, great conversation, really hit it off. Well, the synchronicity of the timing on that was obviously not coincidental because we get into the conversation about the books and what got him down this path and how he started, and come to find out he wrote his very first book, and it was a children's book that he did for his daughter. See, the piece that I had not really put much into yet, even though the story was being written in that way the night before, was I was trying to not just help myself process and prepare, but my daughter to process and prepare. So when all of a sudden he says his first book is this one, it's one for his daughter, it's a children's book. And I had just written a manuscript the night before. I had talked to him about it and I even said, hey, would you be willing to review it? Would you be willing to look at it? At that point, with no other thought beyond just sending him what I'd written the night before. Now, that's where it took off. The next day, or that day rather, that Friday, this wouldn't have been August the 8th. It would have been the week before, roughly, just before. So, I don't know, August 1st, maybe? Maybe it was the last part of July. I don't remember the exact date. August 8th was the day that I submitted it for publication, and I'll come full circle back to that. Anyway, I have this call with him that Friday. I sit down and I start writing. I'd already written the book, but I started rewriting it. I started going through with a different lens, a little bit more awareness, a little bit more intention, really thinking through how I can tie this together, how I can make it into a story. And so I did that through the course of that day. Anybody who knows me also knows I've been doing a ton with artificial intelligence, and I teach artificial intelligence through the lens of, without the OG AI, which is awareness and intentionality, artificial intelligence doesn't work for us. One of the things that gets a lot of criticism on artificial intelligence is For example, the inconsistencies or delusional approaches that it can have, particularly when trying to have consistency amongst images. So the idea of illustrating a book in AI, just though it's possible, and many have done it, don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here saying that I'm the only one, but many people find frustrations in that and therefore don't go down that path. Well, I, at this moment, was still not thinking about publishing the book. I was truly just going to write it, prepare it, maybe put a couple of images in it for my daughter. And over the course of the next couple of days, as I started to get some images dialed in, using ChatGPT largely, being very, very rigid in the boundaries, the parameters, the locking in certain versions, being able to iterate in just, a huge capacity, I started to get a little bit of hope. And then I went down the path of learning what a children's book format looked like and what the page sizes would be and how to actually structure them through the flow from the cover all the way to the back cover, and understanding the philosophy, because I'd never done this. I wasn't going to publish a book. My only goal at that moment still was just to get a printed copy to give my daughter. And then I found out that the process between getting a printed copy and taking it to Amazon and getting it published was very minimal in terms of the additional work. So of course, that's what I did. Now I used some YouTube videos with some other individuals who have and do sell children's books, use AI to publish it, to write it, a whole process on formatting and getting ready for Amazon. But really, the majority of what took place was after I wrote the book, I was able to then just have it start to fit into a structure. Chapters, for lack of a better term, scenes that I was starting to design with these characters and starting to just have it all come together. 11 days after I wrote the book, I was submitting it for publication on Amazon, knowing that it could be 24, 48, 72 hours post-review, especially because I was a first-time author, first-time book, but it got done. Now, here's the real cool part. It published on August 10th of 2025. Why is August 10th important? Again, any of you who've ever listened to me or have followed this show know that August 10th of 1992 was the day that I was run over by a truck and my left arm was completely severed from my body. Reattached, whole bunch of surgeries and stories that have gone into this. And every year, there's cellular memory and there are cycles in my life that update. I'm either reliving something, re-experiencing something, having a breakthrough, often in the July to August frame. And so for my first published book to come out on the anniversary of the day that my arm was torn from my body, just had a little different synchronicity. The other kicker to all this, before I even read the book, because I want to make sure that this is landed and you understand this very clearly, our cat is not dead. See, the weekend that I decided that I was going to actually make this a book, those few days post this interview with this guy and writing it, he made a miraculous recovery. And he's just continuing to improve. And since then, we've been able to figure out that we actually believe that he's been fighting valley fever for months. So we found some antifungal and he is kicking butt. But the point of the book was not to grieve our cat. The point of the book was to process and prepare for the time that our cat would no longer be with us. And so with no further ado, I'm going to read to you The Cat Who Watched the Wind. It truly was a story of the heart. As you can see, this is my beautiful daughter, Addie, and our cat Fury on the cover. The Cat Who Watched the Wind, written by Fury to Addie, as remembered by Dad. Written and illustrated by Brian Bogert and AI. I'm a big believer in disclosing whenever we use AI. Got our whole copyright page set up. And then it's for Addie, my favorite girl and the bravest friend a cat could ever have. And for every soul who has ever loved and been loved by a gentle guardian. Here we go. We're going to jump right into the book as we speak. The moment I chose you. You probably think you picked me first, but Addie, I picked you first. The others may have said they rescued me, but I wasn't waiting to be rescued. I was waiting to belong. When you walked me in your home, there was no hiding, no hesitation or warming up period. I knew where I was. I knew who I was for. You. You didn't treat me like something fragile. You picked me up by my front arms and I let you. Big belly, full dangle, no complaints. You were clumsy. But I was certain. Why? Because even before you could name it, I could feel it. You were mine, and I was already yours. The house I made my own. Some cats need time to adjust. I didn't. I walked in belly up on the floor within hours, claimed the window, claimed the couch, claimed you. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't timid. I wasn't asking permission because I'd already decided this was home. And I knew how good I had it now. Before you, there was a noise I didn't understand. Pain no one noticed. My gums ached. My body was sick. I tried to speak in the ways I could. I stopped using the litter box and changed my patterns, but no one was listening until your mom, our mom, did. She saw what I was trying to say, and your family took care of me without waiting to be asked. So I gave myself to you, all of me, stretched out, belly flopped, sprawling across every room like I owned it. And let's be honest, I kind of did. The yard I chose not to leave. You know, I could have run. Every door, every open gate, every time the dogs barked at the fence, I could have slipped away, but I never did. I've been outside hundreds of times, but I never left the yard because I didn't need out there. I had everything in here. You. The warm windows, the open air without the danger, the knowing that someone finally understood me. I patrolled the borders, not because I wanted to leave, but because I wanted to guard what I loved. The girl I listened to. You've always had music inside you. Sometimes you sang it. Sometimes you drew it. Sometimes you danced it or acted it out in your room. I saw all of it. When your words didn't come easily, I didn't need them. When your ears didn't catch every sound, I listened for you. When you slept, you heard nothing, but I heard everything. And that's why I curled near your pillow. That's why I laid on the top bunk when you were little and next to you now. Because when your world went quiet, I stayed alert. So you never had to feel alone. The way I watch. Everyone talks about how I love the window. They think I'm just staring outside. But what I'm really doing, I'm listening to the breeze, to the birds, to the way the world moves. The wind doesn't speak in words, but it carries everything worth knowing. When someone's happy, it dances. When someone's scared, it presses. When someone's growing, it stirs. I've spent whole days sitting on that scratcher by the back window or pushing open your shutters to get a better look. Not because I'm bored, but because the wind tells me when I'm needed. And most days, it tells me about you. The little ones I helped raise. So many kittens, some loud, some shy, some hungry, some wild. They came and went like sparks. You held them, named them, cleaned them, loved them. And me? I taught them how to be. Sometimes they didn't get it right. Sometimes they bit too hard or forgot the rules. But I never hissed, like Ben. Never swatted. I just gave them the look. You know the one. And if they still didn't settle down, I'd stretch out right in the middle of their chaos. I'd be quiet, still, grounded. So they'd remember, this is a home where peace lives. The nights I stayed close. I didn't sleep in the same place every night, and I never told anyone why. Because I wasn't sleeping where I wanted to be, I was sleeping where I was needed. Dad, I stayed near when his thoughts got loud. Mom, when her body felt heavy from the day. The kittens, when they forgot how to rest. Your brother, some nights I curled up at the foot of his bed too. Not because he asked me to, but because I want him to know I'm near. We're still learning each other, and that's okay. That's what trust does. It builds in the quiet. But you never had to ask. I just knew. Some nights I stayed at your feet. Some nights I curled on your pillow. Some nights you didn't even know I was there. But Addie, I was always there. The day I don't wake up. There will come a day when I don't appear at the door, when I don't stretch or blink or climb into your room. That day is coming, my girl, and it might feel like a hole. It might feel like something was stolen from you. But listen, really listen. I'm not leaving you. I'm just making more room for you to stand on your own because you're ready now. You're strong. You're full of light. You know how to listen to the quiet and how to hear what the world is really saying. You don't need me right beside you anymore. So I'll step back just a little, but not without leaving pieces behind. The things I left behind. I've hidden parts of me for you to find. A curl in a blanket that looks like I slept there. The hush in your room that feels safe, not silent. A feather in a weird place. A curtain that sways even when the window's closed. These aren't accidents. Those are pieces. Little reminders that I'm still watching the wind. Still listening. Still yours. You don't have to find me. You just have to notice. And when you do, smile. That'll be how we say hi now. Oh, and I'll still hear when you sing and no one else is around. The curl that never unwinds. People say I was the family's cat. Sure, I curled on laps, sat by windows, supervised the living room like a champ, but Addie, you know better. You're my girl. Always were. Always will be. And yes, I know your dad will say otherwise. It's okay. Let him think it. But when I let you carry me like a floppy scarf, when I watched you paint or sing or simply be, I wasn't protecting you because you were mine. I was protecting you because I was yours. And when I'm no longer beside you, I will still curl myself around your soul in a way that never, ever leaves. You don't have to carry me. You already carry what matters most. So when you feel brave or gentle or strong or still, that's not just you growing up. That's me, still with you, just watching the wind, watching the impact my girl makes on the world. Forever your fury. Whew, this one's still hard for me to get through. Because this was to process and prepare, there's also some things I prepared in the back. Remembering my friend. Hey there, I'm Ben. You might remember me from earlier in the story. Fury made a comment about how I like to hiss and swat at our foster kittens. He also likes to call me his roommate, though between you and me, I like to think of myself as his apprentice. Fury has a way of finding the special moments, the kind you tuck away in your heart. He told me once that the best thing you can do for someone you love is to remember those moments and to share them. And that's where you come in. The pages ahead are just for you. You can draw, write, or doodle anything that reminds you of your special friend. Whether they have paws, feathers, fins, or something else entirely. These pages are for you, to honor them. Take your time, make a mess, make it yours. Because the best stories, they live on in a way we remember them. Remembering my friend. My favorite memory with my furry friend is write or draw below. Something silly or funny my furry friend did. Write or draw below. My furry friend made me feel. Choose happy, safe, silly, loved, etc., or write or draw a feeling. When I feel sad or miss my furry friend, I remember. Write or draw below. My favorite place to be with my furry friend was. Write or draw below. A special message I want to say to my furry friend. Write or draw below. A place to always remember my furry friend. Draw or tape a picture below. That, my friends, is the cat who watched the wind. And it went from idea to publication in 13 days. I do feel it's important to read the back of the book just so that every one of you understands the synopsis. Some cats need to be rescued. Some cats are simply waiting to belong. Meet Fury, a wise, gentle guardian and the heart of his family. From the moment he met Addie, their bond became a lesson in love, trust, and the quiet magic of being truly seen. The Cat Who Watched the Wind is a tender story about choosing and being chosen, about listening with your heart, and about the invisible ways we're always connected to those we love. For anyone who's ever been claimed by a cat or needed a gentle protector, this book is a love letter that will linger long after the last page. I know that it has for me. I know that it has for my daughter. And I know that the reviews and the impact of this book so far have been amazing. I never planned it, but sometimes the things that are unplanned are the best surprises. The real key here is I allowed it. I allowed myself to write. I allowed myself to cry. I allowed myself to process and prepare. And then I allowed myself to be open to what the universe was pointing me towards, which was to actually make this a book. Idea to published in 13 days. And it launched on the 33rd anniversary of the accident It changed my life forever. Plus, our cat's kicking it, and he's still here. And so now we get to honor him as a living legacy through this book, and a way to just make sure that no matter what happens or whenever it happens, because it is inevitable, that we'll be ready and we'll be prepared. So if you've ever had a furry friend, if you know anyone who has a furry friend or lost a furry friend, whether it's a kid or an adult, this book, I think, can be a way to help them process, prepare, and honor those little guardians that have come into our world. I know this is a totally untraditional approach today with flipping the lid, but I figured I'd just flip a couple of pages instead. See, I don't have an interview today, but I wanted you to see and feel what happened through this process, and to be able to recognize that anything that you allow, that you're passionate about, that you connect to, can be possible. And you can compress time in getting there. So, until next time, make sure you flip open your lid and scan your can. And you can have pretty much anything that you desire. It's just a matter of putting it into practice, allowing it to come into your world, and living it. Talk to you all soon.
What you can probably tell by now is that I love telling these stories, but what I love even more is the impact that's coming from them. You see, we're on a mission to impact over 1 billion lives as quickly as possible, but to do that, we need you. See, we believe that moved people move people. And so all I'm asking is if you've resonated, connected with any of the messaging, please consider commenting, sharing, leave a rating and review. Thank you so much for tuning into Flipping the Lid. And if you want more information on the show, how to become a guest, how to recommend a guest, or any of the other details, head over to flippingthelid.com. We'll see you there.